Dear colleagues, welcome to the last session of this meeting, and we changed a bit of format. It will not be presentations, it will be a panel discussion, and we have a very nice panel of representing various branches and countries, and we have here Mr. Janis Roze, Deputy Head of CBA. So KNAB. Okay, I'm already promoting you. Yeah, sorry, Janis, Deputy Director of KNAB from Latvia. We have Klajbor from CBA this time. We have Mr. Vytautas Kukaitis, who is another European Delegated Prosecutor from Lithuania. We have Riima from KAPO, Estonia, and we have Bernhard Schneider, who most of you already know from the roundtable discussion. He is from Austrian BAC, leading investigator. And let me start with some questions, initial questions. This year, STT, you know, celebrates 25 years anniversary. KNAB celebrates 20 years anniversary. Also last year, CBA celebrated 15 years anniversary. So my question would be to Latvian and Polish colleagues: what were the corruption challenges back then when the institutions have been established? And what corruption challenges are now for you? I don't know, who would like to start?
So, first of all, I would like to say thanks for our Ukrainian colleagues for organizing such event. It was useful, as we heard from our colleagues from different countries. About the corruption through these 20 years, I can say it changed how people make different schemes to hide it. Therefore, we also try to do the best to find out it, to prevent it and combat with that. This 20 years in KNAB, it's we through these 20 years, each day we, better to say, have different challenges, and therefore we also try to resolve that. We find out different problems, we try to resolve that, and it's develop us. And of course, we try to find out the best solutions also from our international colleagues, and this practice we try to establish also in our institution. Thanks.
Thanks. Janis. Anna?
Hello, and in the beginning, thank you for invitation. And I'd like to add that CBA is a relatively young unit among Poland's special services. As you said, last year we celebrated the 15th anniversary of establishment. But however, we are a young unit. We have already became a permanent fixture in the system of combating corruption in Poland. In addition, we play important role of fighting and preventing fraud and money laundering. And what is important, what we observed over these 15 years, these corruption cases which we conduct became more complicated, more complex. It doesn't exist only in domestic area. It is always often international crimes. And what is important, criminals have still better knowledge about our activities, especially about this technical mechanism, and it forces us to develop, to evaluate, to look for new tools. So it's what is the most important changes.
Thank you, Anna. According to Corruption Perception Index 2021, Austria and Estonia jointly ranked number 14th in the world. So we share the 14th place. So this is an impressive result. And comparing to Lithuania, Latvia, and Poland, which also have a good corruption perception index, you're still some points, not some points, but something 20, 30 places above of us. And my question is, another difference is that Estonia is among so-called new member states together with Lithuania, Latvia, and Poland, while Austria is a relatively older EU member state, although not a founding member state. Does this corruption perception index mean that you, Estonia and Austria, you don't have corruption, or is it maybe other challenges you have? So what is the situation in your countries? You are coming from law enforcement agencies, so probably you have a bit different opinion about the situation in your country. We're curious to know.
Yeah, thank you for the kind words, and thank you for inviting us to the conference and participating in this panel. So, coming to your question, yes, we have one. There is no more corruption in Estonia. No, just kidding. Actually, to say that you don't have any corruption, you don't look for it, or you just turn a blind eye. It's one of that kind of crimes that is latent, it's hidden, and it's there. Well, the question about what's the situation at the moment, I would say it's not too bad. We have come a long way from the post-Soviet times, I mean from the 90s. And I think one of the key elements is that we deal with the corruption cases quite openly. So they are active, and the perception also on the criminal side should be that there is quite a big probability to get caught and get the negative sort of like end result, not the positive one you are looking to keep it hidden. But there are still challenges. I would point out maybe shortly that one of them is the corruption in private sector, or how the private sector perceives the corruption when it's business to business. It's more like taken in like an everyday, cost to do business, or how you do business. Sort of like things that in public sector everybody knows that you do this, you are either fired or you are going into jail or something else. In private sector, you just kind of like shrug it off, and if sort of corrupt person is caught in one company, the most probable outcome is that he or she is just fired, and it's kept silent, so nobody wants the negative publicity, etc. So I think there is something to do there, and also taking into account the EU interest and funding. There is room for improvement when also we look at the private sector using those funds. So it's common practice or somewhat common practice that you can also share kind of the benefits to subcontract either relatives, either even your own company, etc. And you don't even think sometimes that you're doing something wrong. So there is still ways to go. Yeah, thank you.
The Federal Bureau of Anti-Corruption was founded 2010, and now after more than 12 years we recognize that it's very important the prevention work, because the society has to decide that corruption is not allowed. Because if the people are against corruption, nobody can get corrupt. So it's one of our goals to go to the schools, to educate the young people, to say it's not okay to take 100 euro not to pay a fine or to get, for example, some other benefits. Of course, we usually have retrograde investigation, but nearly the most are because some of the society, of the 9 million in Austria, write us an email or call us and tell us maybe there is a corruption. So the most cases are because the people are looking and say for themselves, it's not okay to be corrupt, I want to write it to the Bureau of Anti-Corruption. Usually they are scared that they lose their job or something like that, so they make that anonymous. And now we install in the next few months a new system that we can also connect with these people and ask them anonymous what is going on. But still now is the problem, we get a letter, but then we cannot communicate with them. There is one for the Prosecutor office, they have that still, but now we also implement that, and so we try to get further information. And still corruption happens also in Austria, because the problem is that most people don't think that what they are doing, especially in the private sector, is corrupt. They say it's okay to talk with my other company about the price or something like that, or to take a little bit of money to do the job.
Sometimes we have an impression that if you eradicate small-scale corruption, with the corruption on the street level corruption, then people think, oh, there is no corruption, but there are a lot of big grand corruption schemes going around. Would you think that it's also a challenge that the country might be perceived as a low-level corruption, but there are lots of grand corruption cases?
First of all, it's very important that all employees of the state get enough salary to have a good life and that the family can survive. That's the first level that you can prevent corruption. And like you said before, the hidden corruption, the problem is mostly that at the beginning you don't think that you make a wrong decision or maybe a corrupt action. It starts like, I pay you the meal. After a few months I say, maybe you can help me with the case and do it faster. So it's still not corrupt, you're going in the way, but after 1 year he's going, I need a visa for other person. Then you say, oh, that's for me too much, and say, yeah, if you don't do it, then I will tell your boss or write a letter that I paid you the meal or something else. And so you're in a dilemma situation that's really complicated to get out of that, because then if you report it, then you get also a problem in front of the court because you say you have done it. So nobody has, the investigation are very easy. So, like I said before, the most thing is to the education, the prevention work, before that everybody I think every police officer in Austria has to take an 8-hour course of our department. We come to the school and explain, please don't take money, please pay your own coffee or something like that. And also every state worker or a big city has also to go to an 8-hour course just to teach them that it's not about to take money, maybe social benefits or an invitation for a soccer match or something like that.
Indeed, thank you, Bernhard. You are touching important topic about why it is important not to speak only about corruption, but also about integrity. Integrity in everyday life, and in professional life, but also everyday life. I started the panel discussion with some celebration anniversary mentioning, and also we have another small anniversary. It's also more than 1 year for the European Public Prosecutor Office. It is functional, and certain corruption and fraud investigations are underway. We had yesterday presentation by Mrs. Jolita Kančauskienė, and she already reported to us how the system of EPPO works and how many cases there are. And I would like to turn to Vytautas and ask his own perspective from his side. What are the challenges for the EPPO, and what new possibility does this new system open up?
Okay, thank you. It works. No, it doesn't work.
The batteries went. Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me, first of all, and congratulations to you, dear colleagues from STT, for this event. First of all, I would like to stress that nothing changes in general, because we should focus on the cases and we should focus on evidence and nothing more. But EPPO, within 1 year, have more possibilities to receive different data from another countries. This is the first benefit for us as EDPs, and we are doing these actions in both sides. I guess that Mrs. Jolita Kančauskienė yesterday explained about that for instance, if you want to receive data from another country, from Estonia, from Latvia, in normal way you can have this evidence within 3, 5, 6 months or more. And as EDPs, we can assign measures for our other colleagues in other countries. And we have very good successful stories that within 1 month, at maximum 2 months, we receive data which we need in particular case. So the next point is that we are very close to each other. We are sitting together in our European Delegated Prosecutors Bureau in one stage, and we have discussion almost every day, or twice or 3 times per day within our colleagues. The next point is that our European prosecutor, which is sitting in Luxembourg, also is familiar with all our cases, and we have some push from this side, from college as well, because as you know that each case is supervised by 3 European prosecutors from different countries. So, and The third point is that we also trying to be more close to investigators, and in this room I see that Ms. Gabriela, Mr. Ovidius, they are investigators in our cases, and they know that we are very close to them. We have conversation almost every week. We also have communication in their premises. Our psychological point, which I would like to stress also, that investigators should feel that prosecutor is next to them, and when they doing any investigation actions within our electronic system, we can see each action almost online, actually online. And this is also helps to us to have another, in tactical level, another actions which is needed. As well, I should stress that we also working with our experts and specialists, which are giving for us some summarize of financial or economic object investigations. Also, as EDPs, we are close to formulate questions for specialists. Also, we receiving data not in the final stage from experts, but in the middle of their actions. And so, this is very small but very important issues, which we should take into account, that it helps to receive or on the end of the procedure or on some particular stage receive some effective evidence or effective data. As a prosecutor, I'm already in office more than 22 years, and I know that in this room also are prosecutors in another country, that you should change your perception of supervising. You should be the biggest, the elder brother, if you want, the older sister. You should be next to the investigator always, every day. Just in this case, you can achieve effective results. So another challenge, if it's a challenge or not, but we must focus as a prosecutors on every day on typologies. Okay, it's a modus operandi or typologies. Typologies is very important. Why? Because if you can't recognize in particular case what actually happens, you should spend a lot of time, first of all, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. But if you don't recognize the typology, in general level, you will be not successful in the end of the investigation. It's not successful story, and what we have done it, that we split our focus, and also we have now on the list our typologies. I would like to mention that we have 5 cases regarding corruption or abuse of power related to public procurement and money laundering. We have 3 cases with fictitious contraction work. We have 5 cases regarding increased price in the supply chain. This is the most important and most difficult typologies, and we have these cases, and I think so that until the end of this year we'll have a successful final result or final conclusion in this typology, because increasing price in some chain, when perpetrators involve different another companies which also is on their control, and this increasing prices have a big impact of the damage, amount of the damage. For instance, now with Financial Investigation Service, we have one case regarding 1,297,000 euros, and we now just 1 month before received the expert's conclusion that our perpetrators increase fictitiously price regarding some equipment or some robot equipment more than 1,200,000 euros. So, and I guess that this case will have really successful story, because investigators during intelligent stage have obtained some data, in particular emails, also their conversations, which allowed to us, for me as a prosecutor, to prove that they know the first price, which is original price, when they have bargaining with some companies from Germany, from Switzerland, from Turkey, and after that they involved their friend's company or their father's company, which allowed to increase this price 3 times or more. So, and this results on this very concrete evidence give possibilities to have this expert evaluation that it was prices increased fictitiously, and now we are also challenging another procedural way. I have bargaining with defense lawyers. So it's another challenge because we are almost on the final stage how we will finish this case. And I'm starting bargaining with defense lawyers. They can or not accept our proposal for guilty plea, for instance, and also for a recovery of all damage. So we are almost on the final stage in one case in this typology. The second, also we have 2 cases regarding fraud in the agriculture sector. It is very popular in Lithuania. Also we have 2 cases capturing foreign markets when Lithuanian perpetrators received EU foundations to increase the effectiveness in third countries' market. In one case in the United States of America, in another case in Asia and China and other countries. So also we will have in these cases more challenges because those countries not are in EU, and we should spend more time to receive some data from other countries. And also the last point is fictitious justification of own phones. Our colleague, Mrs. Jolita Kanchowskina, has these cases because you know that every company which want to receive some EU foundations should have own resources, and also we are focused on some typology but when they fictitiously have structure to show for agent that they have own resources. So these different typologies allows to us more easy to understand where we are. Also, after one successful story, after for one recognition, we're sharing between us, among us, this knowledge online, and it helps for another EDP, or at the same time, the same level. It helps for investigators to share this information among them. So, just for my first speech and introduction. Okay.
Thank you. The discussion is heating up because there is only one microphone left, and we will be quarreling for it. Vytautas, you already touched the EU-related fraud and corruption, and my next question to the panelist is about EU-related fraud and corruption. Is it EU-related crimes, fraud and corruption, are they a different animal compared to domestic national cases of fraud and corruption? Or do they need to be investigated somehow differently or detected? And what are the main challenges with the EU-related funds? And maybe what works and what areas of cooperation and best practices from your side, from national perspective side, is in detecting, investigating, or preventing it? And another question could be, since there is an establishment of EPPO, and it is working, well, it's not working for Poland, but it's working for Latvia, Estonia, and Austria. What are the challenges and new possibilities from your side with establishment of EPPO? So I don't know who would like to start. Bernhard?
Usually at our Bureau of Anti-Corruption there are not many international cases because the corruption usually happens in our country. That's sometimes a problem, but if sometimes there are some companies involved, maybe they are located in Germany, then we have to request about the prosecutor that the German police support us, and then we go to Germany and they make the house search and we support them and say we need this or this information. I think an advantage would be if there would be an internship between the countries to understand how the countries differently works. Also there is a problem that every country has a different law. And for example, money laundering is a hot topic, like Estonia and Austria. You need money laundering alone is not a crime. And so there are a lot of challenges which you can try to get better in the future. For me is one to try on the investigator level to try 1 month internships, something like that the other country knows how the work is done and how the system works. Because I can also, for example, request, like sometimes we want information from Google, then we send it to Ireland and they send 1 day back, 1 day later back, yeah, if we find some information you get it. And then you never hear again. And so there would be a good thing if, for example, if Ireland would support us to get information from Google or some other countries which are there located.
Thank you. Well, about EPPO, I think Vytautas already touched points that I had in mind about the challenges and perhaps more even opportunities. I mean, to level the playing field a little bit about the differences in different countries also to help us navigate sort of like the waters of the local or national criminal and penal law, and also the typologies that can be shared and then looked from another perspective. And the other thing was about perhaps the foreign bribery, exactly that what are the Estonian companies actually doing abroad. And perhaps some kind of information, if you haven't searched for it, you can also use EPPO to broaden your frontier, so to say, and especially in the third countries. And about investigation, I would say it's not so different if you're investigated some like cross-border sophisticated corruption schemes or frauds, then it just adds another layer. But I would say the investigation is as hard as it has been previously. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Actually, we can see some difference between domestic cases of corruption and this more international. In area of the methods we can use. In our country, we can use methods are operational activities, analysis tools, control proceeding. But for example, operational activities we can use only in our country. But it's now, of course, corruption cases are often linked with international financial transfers. So we have to track this money. And in this area, we cooperate with other countries. But it's sometimes it's not so easy because different in legal orders.
So about the challenges in detecting investigation or preventing fraud and corruption relating to the EU funds, our practice shows that we can reach the best results when we make a multidisciplinary team where are involved experts from different fields which control or look how people do the daily job according to these EU funds, and it gives good results. About the EPPO, I think the biggest challenge it's not for anti-corruption agencies to work with them, but it's a big challenge for EPPO prosecutors because they must also change thinking. They not only supervise the cases, they also work like investigators.
And speaking about EU-related funds, Vytautas, do you think that EU-related corruption or fraud is something different, or should be somehow differently investigated rather than domestic fraud cases? And maybe what are the main challenges and what are the, how to say, best practices so far which enables our authorities to investigate it better?
So I would like to focus on concrete case which has STT, because examples have possibility to understand actually better where we are. First of all, our perpetrators, animals, a little bit different animals. First of all, they are very clever guys. I have very good education. Some companies which want to receive some EU funds with together with to give them bribe for some officers, because only in this case we have possibility to use our competence when administrative offices has received a bribe it's active and passive corruption. So, and we have a very successful case, I guess, where within almost 9-10 months we received first of all just suspicion that something is going wrong. Analytical department, or analytical Mr. Thomas, I see he has made a very good job together with Mr. Ovidius as well. We're sitting together in one room with their chief as well, Mr. Urius, at least 6 or 8 times. First of all, we recognize that something is going wrong, and we have suspicion that a person, one of the head of one Lithuanian governmental body, receive more than, not the more, I will be very concrete, 268,000 of euros with our suspicion was fictitious documents for fictitious service, for some consultations. So, and he received through his own private company this amount from at least 16 companies. So later on we focus on these 16 companies and we established that they have connection with another companies who has participated in public procurement procedure, and we have some preventive measures and also intelligent measures. We wake up in them, we looking through bank accounts, and our main suspicion was focused that bribe was given through these fictitious services. And later on this June, we arrested at least 12 persons for 48 hours, and also we arrested this person, this officer. I asked court for his prolongation for his arrest for 1 month, later on for 1 month more. And in this regard, I should stress that prosecutors should be surgery, but not a therapist, because our perpetrators very clever guys, so they have created this scheme in particular, very difficult scheme, which not allows to us to see that it's bribe or not. Just using these very hard measures, preventive measures, precautionary measures, and also to have main person in jail, we obtain within 3 or 4 weeks absolutely brilliant evidences that two persons of 3 main perpetrators have given for us all clear pictures that they bribe this person. One was for 88,000 euro, another 41,000 euros. It was very hard bargaining as well with defense lawyers what we can offer for them, because we, as you know, in our criminal code have possibilities to finish the case without any criminal responsibility if officer was I don't know how it is in English, demanded this bribe, but also we don't accept, first of all, defense position that this perpetrator demand. I said, if it's really true, we should also prove from perpetrator he received the bribe, but they said no, it was not demand, it was the deal. Okay, and within 2 months we also, in this case, received guilty plea for main perpetrators from officer. So, and I think so that it's one of the most successful case which we will finish in this year. So now we are focusing where? We are focusing on another big sum, on 168,000 euros, because in this regard we didn't, still, I will be very clear with you, we still didn't recognize the predicate offense. We still working with intelligence unit from Special Investigation Service that we don't have any predicate offense, but we have result that person received 168,000 euros through the same system. So why I would like to, why I'm giving this example? Because only when we're talking about prevention, about the strategy, tactical issues, and so on, as a prosecutor, when we have a case, we should focus on this case, and we should recognize and give all our power, our strengths to recognize and to prove this case. What it could give for us, the main benefit is that another perpetrators and also defense lawyers for another world outside us also send the message that EPO and EDPs have power to prove this concrete criminal typology. This is most important to show that we have this power. We have a lot of, together with our team, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience to prove a very difficult scheme. And it allows to us to be successful and also to send the message later on publicly that not do that, because we will catch you.
Okay. So you mean that this scheme is
understood that when you have a successful case and this scheme is developed and put into the light, so the other perpetrators who use the same scheme, that they know the scheme is disclosed, and by this way they are prevented from using this scheme anymore. So that turns me to another question I wanted to raise during this panel. You probably recall what is the topic of this event is multidisciplinary approach and the regional cooperation. So at least in Lithuania, we see that each year the corruption cases become more and more complex, and they involve various ancillary offenses such as money laundering, fraud, forgery of documents, and a number of other. And to investigate them is not always an easy task, and sometimes it is not easy to prove. And that's one part of the question is, of course, how much evidence you need to collect, the length of proceeding. But what I'm also talking about is about the use of other means aside from criminal, law enforcement, criminal investigation. What the analytical units can help us and assist us when either during criminal investigations or maybe the view of preventing. Another possibility is that we have a good cooperation with our administrative partners or preventive partners. We had yesterday example from Latvia about the cooperation with private banks, and from there we get a lot of useful information. So also the European Commission in its PIF report recommends to use a holistic approach combating fraud and corruption. So the question would be, what lessons have been learned so far from your side, and what do you have any success stories in this respect when you make use of cooperation with your analytical units, or maybe with your prevention units, or with your partners nationally or locally, which are not directly investigators, but they are involved or assist you, or maybe deal with this case from a prevention side, and you don't need to investigate it anymore. So I will start from that side so that I end up with microphone at the end.
Thank you. About the analytical work, it's a very important issue as we see in our practice in criminal intelligence, also in criminal cases. Therefore, in our institution, we raise up analytical muscles. We have additional analytical places where we try to find also people from different institutions, like who works with money laundering issues, who understand the points, how we can detect it, who previously worked with different typologies, as said Prosecutor from KAPO. So it's important, and it shows us this analytical result shows us where we must go, what we must do, and it helps also for us explain to the prosecutors, to the judges, why we do different steps to get evidences for possible criminal case. Thank you.
In my opinion, analytical tools are very important in combating corruption in our bureau. And we use a lot of and various analytical tools. We still improve it, and it's very important when we have financial transfers and frauds, subsidies. And the best knowledge about various analytical tools we use in Bureau have my colleagues from Department of Intelligence and Analysis, CBA, and if it's possible, I would like to invite them to tell a few words about analytical tools we use in Bureau.
So first of all, the most important thing from our point of view is direct access when it's possible to various databases. And for example, thanks to the good cooperation with our Minister of Finance, now it's the second year we have the direct access to tax data. Direct, I mean, we have it on our desk in computer, so it really speeds up the process of obtaining this data and then analyzing it. We also have a good cooperation with Polish social insurance institution. So very fast we can get data about employees of a company, so we don't have to wait for it. And as far as analytical tools are concerned, we use I2, like many of my colleagues, also in other law enforcement agencies use it. But now we are in search of or an analytical tool that would be more sophisticated and could deal with a larger pool of data at the same time, because I2 is a really great tool, but it has its problems. We also really do appreciate the direct cooperation with other institutions, like I said before, Ministry of Finance, but also other ministries, because many times they ask us as an institution to shield a big public procurement, or even shield the new laws that are passed. So we just have to, like analysts and lawyers, have to look at it, whether it is in the future, whether it would be prone to the corruption or not. So the cooperation with them on a legislative process is also crucial, I would say. Furthermore, we really do appreciate projects like this. Thank you for inviting us, because we can share the experience in a direct way. And for example, as a CBA, now we are implementing the project under Norway grants, and it really helps us because as cooperating institutions, we have Polish counterintelligence, internal security agency, Ministry of Finance, and also Prosecutor's office. And in this project we have meetings, conference, and joint trainings, so it also helps to get to know each other better. And
Vytautas, what I don't know.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to add a couple of words, perhaps not the analytical side, but also like the prevention and cooperation side. So we don't have like dedicated prevention unit in our service, but we also do the preventive work to helping our counterparts, like, well, state-owned companies exactly, ministries to set up, for example, like internal control systems to be aware also, and spread the awareness about corruption and risks inside their own organizations. And well, it's a short and easy story from one of those successes. So, like last Christmas, there was one state-owned company. It has partners abroad, and one of those partners or subcontractors also presented some like gifts, some candy and an envelope. So the employees thought that in the envelope there is most probably the Christmas card, so they didn't actually like look inside, etc. But a couple of I don't know, it was days or hours later, when already the presenter was leaving, they looked in and, well, there was a little bit more than Christmas card. It was like a 500 euros per envelope. So the success in that story is that they were aware that this is not a way to behave from the partners, so they actually made it known in their own company. they prepare the letters and the letter back to the gifter, and that this is not approved the business practice, and also they let us know, so we could reach out to our partners as a good cooperation ways to inform them that the company in your country actually is conducting that kind of business that is not so well, on the lines of anti-corruption, and I guess the risk flags about this company can be raised. So, but you have to have sort of like the people to connect to, you have to have the defense lines built inside your own country, etc. to make it work. So it's important to build those networks and help out your counterparts. And I think you had a question to Vytautas.
Maybe later, I don't know. Just to finish around, yeah.
We have also a lot of analytic tools, also IBM I2 Node. And for us it's very important to use the tools because now we have the prosecutor and investigators which are know a lot about the case because they work for 2, 3, 4 years, but then you go to court and the judge has also to understand the case. And usually the judge in Austria is not a specialized judge, so you have to show it with some graphics or something like that he understands the complex system. Because he has to understand, and in his opinion, if he say the people are guilty, then he has to know how it happened. And so it's in the future we will also have some further analytic tools, especially to search the data, which says that a house search. And so we try to build up a portfolio with different programs, that we have not the problem that we just use one program. So now we have, with this we also have Nuix, it's from Australia, then it's Found Software from America and Celebrate Youth Reader from Israel. So we have not a problem that one country can expand the costs and we have to pay everything what they want.
Yeah. Vytautas, we had a conversation during coffee break. You also mentioned that you recently visited USA and well, maybe you brought up some interesting experience from the US side. How do they investigate fraud and corruption, and maybe there are some lessons learned for our investigative, preventive or analytical tools, briefly.
So thank you. Yes, I just 1 month before was in the United States of America, but actually they don't receive any EU foundation. But I participated in the court hearings. I have shown at least 12 cases. This real big theater and real life in the same time. It was one of my dreams, that imagination that are they actually doing the same actions only in movie or in life, and actually it going on in real life. But war is the main now weakness in Lithuania. I don't know how it's in Latvia or in Estonia or in Poland regarding plea bargaining institute, because we have possibility to bargain with defense lawyer only when the sanction is fine, but we can't bargaining on jail term. Americans, as you know, have sentence guidelines, and they can bargaining with all crimes and serious crimes as well. And for instance, one of the interesting point was for me that in one case, in drug trafficking case, it's not regarding EU foundation, but which point I would like to stress that one woman bring 12 kilos of cocaine through Mexico-USA border, and the sentence is from 25 years imprisonment until the life sentence. And she was in jail more than for 3 years since 2019, and defense lawyers and prosecutors have agreed on 12 years imprisonment, on 12 years. What does it mean? And a reflection to Lithuania's situation and to Europe's situation in generally, that our very soft criminal sanctions, it's allowed to receive the sanctions from 3 months imprisonment until 8 years for EU foundation, for instance. So the median is more or less 5 years, but the minimum is very less. It's 3 months. So, and we in criminal law, in material law, we don't have a fear of big sanction. And our perpetrators, our defense lawyers knows that they can wait a lot of 1 year, 2 year and look how investigation is going on, and after that we will decide our position. What Americans has, that they could give possibility in the earlier stages to give possibilities for free, -3 level of a discount of sentence. If you agree in the first stage, you will receive -3 level. For instance, from 12 years, you can receive more or less 6 years. Another proposal could be the -2, when the investigation is going on until the final stage. In the final investigation stage, they could offer the last one. We will give for you the 1 level of discount. And if you don't agree with our proposal, and if you reject this proposal, you are going to jury. When you're going to jury, there is no any possibilities to receive any discount. And the minimum sentence will be as a maximum for instance, from 12 years. And it's a big risk for them to go to jury. And almost now, because I'm following the United States practice since 2007, when I was involved in the first learning process with the New York prosecutors, they said at that time that they're finishing more or less 75% of cases using plea bargaining institute. Now it's more or less 90% or more than 90%. So because in these cases, in our cases, usually a prosecutor side and defense lawyer side do not have 100% of evidences. So, and we have some possibilities to bargain. So, but in criminal law, we don't have any risks for them for big sanctions. And this is my assessment, that we should increase the level of minimum sanctions, and also we should have in our material law possibilities to give this opportunity. Because otherwise we are spending a lot of time, we're spending a lot of time of our analytics, experts, investigators, prosecutors. Also court hearings took very long. And there what was big impression for me, that during the preliminary hearing in court, judge said, you still don't have any agreement? Yes, I'm giving for you 2 months. Just look into the case, look into the evidence for defense side and prosecutor side. You should follow and agree on that, on that, on that. So, and if you will not agree on the sentence, on the qualification, we will go to jury. So where it will be very big and very difficult trial for prosecutors or for attorneys, but for defense side should be a big risk. Because if prosecutors will prove some serious crime, the sanction will be very high. So in this regard, and it is two different approaches from the United States of America and from Europeans, because we are soft, too soft sometimes, too soft, but involving a lot of power. And I would like to also, considering what our colleague said from Poland about analytical issues, that analytics, when they receiving data, a lot of pool of data, usually they can sync in this data pool. It's interaction between analytics, interaction between investigators, and interaction between prosecutors should be more close to each other. And what we trying to do, and would like to give big compliments for STT, that when in very particular case, what Thomas has started analytical work, after 6 months or 7 months we start investigator. He was already left from our team, but we involved and we gained him to do the same work, to continue this same work which he has started in intelligence phase, because we should to reassign new tasks when we have received new data. It's very important, because when you're talking about very broad and not in the concrete case, it not give possibilities to understand where we are. We should put every detail in all chain. So, and prosecutors must be very close. And I still missing prosecutors from Poland side. I don't know. I know a little bit about politician situation, that they are not in the EPO as in Hungary the same, because they are somewhere, but not too close to the investigators and not too close to the office in Luxembourg. This is the distance, okay? Because they are pushing us, and we're doing this service next, more close to analytic. I know, he knows me, how many situations do you have and your analytics, you know prosecutor in concrete case, how many times prosecutors call you for analytic. It's a big distance, and when we're splitting these responsibilities, it means that we're losing our efficiency.
Okay.
Yeah, Vytautas, you're touching a good point about the interaction between prosecutors and investigators, and probably there is a lot for us to consider and to think. We have, I think, very few minutes remaining, but I would hate myself if I would not give a chance to the audience to ask some questions, brief questions to the panelists, or make some comments, so that this session is not just this session, but it is also with all of you together. So, does anybody has any questions or comments to the panelists? Okay.
I have one question for Prosecutor Vytautas, Kukaitis. You talked about EU funds and fraud. What about the strategic level of the fighting against fraud? What efforts European countries and Lithuania are doing to make some impact in this fight against fraud, especially at strategic level?
So, Mr. Sharunas, thank you for the question. Also, I would like to say very good words about Sharunas' work, because he is together with us in strategical level when we created our anti-money laundering strategy in Lithuania. So, and also a big impact from his side. I can't answer direct to this very broad question. But but because this question maybe should go to the college or the European prosecutors. But our chief prosecutor, Laura Kövesi, always pushing us to focus on, first of all, typologies, the second of asset recovery. Also Deputy of ST already mentioned about this main goal, how successful we are in asset recovery process, and also compensation of damage. The next point in strategical level regarding investigators, now Chief Prosecutor is going around to different EPO countries, and she noticed that without very good qualified and expert knowledgeable investigators, we can't achieve good results. And the demand is to create such special bodies like Financial Investigation Service (CAS) to collect specialized investigators and also support them in ongoing work. Also, what is the strategical level, because we are 22 countries, different 22 countries in EPO, and we have different typologies. When a colleague from Estonia has said, the different typologies. And first of all, we should clean our country. Later on, going there to give some, it's my point of view, give some advice in the strategical level. Because you should clean your house and said, okay, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. For instance, I still not believe that in Malta, in one of the nicest countries in the European Union, maybe 8 months before, still they didn't have any case. But when I'm visiting Malta and have one anecdote more or less in strategical level, and in airplane, steward gave for me the magazine and opened the first page, and it was the case regarding one major of second biggest city of Malta, that he was obtained more or less 1 million euros of assets regarding EU Foundation, but at that time there is no any case in Malta's portfolio, but only one EDP is in Malta, and the question is how strong he can be. He's alone or she is alone, because you need have all support from investigators body, from different investigators, but from politicians as well, by the way, because they giving resources. It's not the structure itself in strategical level not given successful results. It's only the item, it's only tool, and we should achieve in very concrete cases good results.